Now then YouTube, I'm the Top Man and welcome back to some more Omnifactory. Now, my partners in crime are not with me today, unfortunately. However, I am going to show you just a brief... This is an interlude. It's not like a full-on part. I'm not going to do anything extremely interesting. I'm going to show you guys what I have been up to in between episodes. Last episode and this episode, because a lot has been going on, as you can probably see, with applied energistics flying around and some power cables going everywhere. It's not currently working at the moment. We were, I think, at the last point of this, we were sort of working on these storage cells. I think we were doing that on camera. I cannot fully remember. It's been some time. But if we take a look at the quest book that we've got here, you can see that a lot of things have been being done here. So Daniel did this one here, and actually it was a 16 item slot battery buffer that we were after. We couldn't actually make them. They come in 1, 4, 9. We made a 4 times 1. It was a 16 times 1. Daniel found that and actually made one of those, and there we go. We've got the quest for that as well, which is good. We may utilise 16 item slots and 16 times wires in the future, but for now, we're going to leave things as they are, and that is going to stay 4 times, I think, is pretty good for what we want at the moment. So the beginning tab has now been nearly finished. Daniel, again, has been working tirelessly on this one. We did this one in between episodes, like I said. Oh, that was a point. I think we was just getting the power together to be able to make the ender pump and the ender tank, but we did that off camera, and we got that. So that one is now done. We've got an ender tank in the nether. We'll show that in a second. The mob factory things, I can't remember what they call it. Deep mob learning, that's the one. The deep mob learning has been all but nearly finished, apart from these extraterrestrial mobs. Daniel was saying, I can't make a wither thing without a nether star, so we're going to have to do that at some stage. But he's done everything else that is available to us on here, which is absolutely insane. I mean, what a lad. To say he doesn't like the crafting recipes is absolutely gone ham on these things, which is great. We've got the loot fabricator as well to utilize all of those pristine matters that we're getting within our little data modules. ME conduits are now a thing. We've got them there as well. We're not using them at the moment, but I'm sure we will do at some point in the near future. So with this crystal growth chamber, I think I did this in a stream, actually. This might be part of the stream that we did. I made a crystal growth chamber. In fact, I made 6 crystal growth chambers because I thought that they were the ones that you sort of put the water in the middle of and then throw them in, and it helps it grow quicker. The more that you have, no, that thing you just literally put it inside the crystal growth chamber and it works. I forgot about that, okay. We did the ME drive. That took forever as well. That is now done and dusted, and the ME chest was part of the ME drive, I do believe. So there's all of that now done. We've just got that one thing left in there, the wither data module, which is going to take some time before we can get that. So moving on from there, we go into the early game tab. We've done a few things on here, but not too much, and that is because we're basically waiting on this MV energy input and MV CEF, which we will definitely be working on next episode. I can promise you guys that. MV is definitely going to be the next step for us. So soldering alloy, I don't know who's made soldering alloy, but you can use soldering alloy in the place of tin if you don't want to use tin. So you can see here, when making circuits, you'll need either molten tin or molten soldering alloy in the assembling machines. Soldering alloy is made in the alloy smelter with a 9:1 ratio of tin ingots and antimony dust. You'll then process this in a fluid extractor for the usual 144 millibuckets of fluid per ingot. So you use less tin, but you use more antimony. So to put your centrifuge to work for antimony, you'll need, which comes in tiny piles from processing tetrahedrite and stibnite. I'm not sure if we've got any stibnite. I don't know. We must have had it at some stage, or maybe even tetrahedrite for this quest to have been done. But we've got it anyways. Then we've got these second tier 2 circuits. We have been working on these currently as well. You can see tin, and it's slightly cheaper and to be able to make the processor this way than it will be to make the pristine processors, which requires 4 of the pristine circuits and primitive circuits and so on and so forth. So it's easier to just do it this way nowadays than it is to do it the other way. So there is that. We've managed to get this one. The first tier 3 circuits, that's going to be absolutely insane. We need that for the MV assembling machine. We will get there at some stage. However, I don't want to rush towards things too quickly. Annealed copper, this is something that Daniel did as well, is made in the electric blast furnace by treating copper with oxygen. It has less power loss than regular copper when you use this cable. It can also be used. It can also be required for more advanced electronic components, and that's basically what we've been using that for. So we've got the MV chemical reactor. I've been slowly upgrading machines as we're going through here to MV machines, so that when we do inevitably switch over to the MV power, that these will get the will have MV power going into them. Of course, if you have MV power going into LV machines, they will blow up. That's something we've got to watch out for. But here we go. Advanced chemical reactor. This is going to come in massively. Well, this is just going to be a massive component of auto crafting things a little bit later on. We've got a lot of different liquids, fluids, all sorts of chemicals and gases and all that sort of thing coming through here. This is going to be massive. We're going to have many, many different advanced chemical reactors going forwards as well. Of course, we've done all of these things to get into applied energistics, engineering processes and stuff like that from there, which is nice. Logic processors, we've got them going as well. We've got crafting terminals going. We have 4K item storages, of course. We've got that pretty much, that MV drive downstairs there, pretty much filled up with 4K storage cells, which was an absolute pain in the backside to craft. But I'm going to go through something we used, guys, soon that has made that process slightly easier. 2 capacitor banks can be crafted together to make a double layer with a double layer capacitor and electric steel to make advanced capacitor bank. Daniel's done that. We've now got one of those actually on our system. If we go upstairs here, we've got one right there, right next to the CEF. I thought that was a good place to put it. So we have the power then outputting, backing up into this thing and then going straight out into the CEF. We do turn this entire thing off when we're off the server because we chunk load everything as well. It just makes sense to turn it off so that it's not constantly draining the power from the nether. But we've got 4 magmatic dynamos there, all being fed by this one ender tank, and it works absolutely perfectly. We've also got this as backup if we so need. It's got no fuel in there at the moment, but it does work. And we've got 2 of these steam dynamos over here that we do put the coke in there we make from the thing downstairs there in here. That creates power, of course, for all of this stuff. We've got eventually the atomic reconstructor as well, which is awesome. So going from there then, that's the entirety of what we've done in that one right there. If we go to the end game stuff here, you can see that we've basically done sodium. We've got 64 sodium, and I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all we've... Oh no, there's apparently something... Oh, there it is. Energetic alloy. Yes, we've got a full stack of that, and that's because I did that in the last one. We need a lot of energetic alloy ingots because we're going into MV, and I want lossless cable. So if we look at MV cable here, you can see that there's a lot of different variants of MV cable. That annealed copper will actually do 1 loss per block, you can see there. But if we have a look at the normal copper is anything up to 2, and copper nickel is 3. But energetic alloy is completely lossless, which is exactly what I wanted to be able to craft for us. You can use assemblers, by the way, with molten rubber to be able to get some stuff back from that. I'm not sure if you get more for your return on that one. I think it's just for automating purposes that you can use the assembler like this. But to me, I think 8 and... there's not much point doing this recipe. For me, there's not much point doing this recipe in this in the assembler here when we could just do it the normal way. Anyways, it makes absolutely no difference. Oh, unless you can't. Ah, I don't think you can. Can you seriously not wrap this any other way? It seems as if we might have to do this in the assembler, which I'm really not bothered about. It makes no difference to me. It makes absolutely no difference to me whatsoever. So, okay, we're going to put... Oh, we can't because the power's off, of course. Let me turn the power on for a start so that we can get all of our system back up and running. There we go. Beautiful. And I'm actually going to go into the nether. Actually, we are going to go to all of them here. All nether pumps teleport to the nether. And as you can see, it's making headway on this massive lava pool that we've got here. And don't forget, this can be 3-4 deep underneath this stone here. So, you know, all of this is stone underneath here. We're using quite a lot of this. And eventually, of course, we'll just move this system to somewhere else, you know, further along the absolutely massive pool of lava that is here. We'll just move the system further along. So this is okay for the moment, but we'll definitely want to move on to a different source of power at some point soon. Anyway, let's go back to the buttery biscuit with extra butter, Mark 3. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, let's get this stuff. All of these are just for show now. There's absolutely nothing in here other than the cobblestone, because there's a lot of cobblestone there. I didn't want to put that into the system. So, in fact, all of these Omni quarters want putting down into Omni nickels, because that is how we are storing them. 875 Omni nickels. We've got a lot of stuff in here now, which is great. I also made a load of aluminium, because we're coming up to a lot of the aluminium that we're using at the moment on there. Okay, so what else has been done? Well, of course, we've got all of the MV system, and that has got a load of the different bits and bobs in there that we're doing. You can see along here that I've got a lot of these work tables, that I've got some of the stuff that we want to go ahead and craft up into, all of the pain in the backside stuff. On the second floor here, we have all of our power generation currently at the moment, along with the RF setup, that is the RF machines and all of that sort of stuff. And then on the third, which you haven't seen just yet, but I've moved the boiler up here because I was using it to create, not pyrolyse. That's the actual oven. I was using it to create some stuff. I can't remember what it was, but I was using it over there. And yeah. Basically, that's what I was doing. This is sucking up an enormous amount of power, and we can't use any of the other machines while this thing is running. So that's basically why I want to change everything. We've got conductive iron in here, but that's low voltage stuff. We want to change the entire system over to MV. That's basically what we're doing. Oh, in the corner here as well, you won't have seen this yet, but this is the first bit of automation that you can see here. I have realized that in a previous episode when we was making ethylene, that I've been doing it entirely wrong, and I should have just followed the entire system that's in the quest book here. We've got over here a sugarcane farm with SNAD and some of these timers on the side of this, and it grows ridiculously quick. Look at that. It grows ridiculously quick. On the back of here, we've got a redstone, an auto breaker from Actually Editions, and this needs nothing. Just a redstone torch. You toggle this over to constant, you know, and it pulses away, breaks this, and then that then goes into the framed drawer. We've got 2048 sugarcane in here. That goes into this, the brewery, and that will go ahead, and it's still actually making a load of it at the moment. It will make biomass. That biomass will then get sucked out and then put into the advanced distillery. You can see we've got a massive amount of biomass in here. It takes a lot of power to be able to use this, which is why it's currently on working disabled, because it cannot keep up to itself, which is the whole reason why we need MV cables and an MV system and all that sort of stuff. This makes ethanol. The ethanol can then be taken over to the where is it? I think it's the electrolyzer. Is it the electrolyzer? No. I can't remember what it is. Where did we take it over to? Wait. Ethanol. The uses for ethanol. Ethanol, along with sulfuric acid in a chemical reactor, will actually give us a bucket, one full bucket of ethylene. So this is a much easier way of doing it. To get sulfuric acid, by the way, you just put what is the way I use it? Water and sulfur, I think it is. There it is. Look, sulfur and water in a chemical reactor, and that gives us 3 buckets of sulfuric acid. So really, chemical reactor, where is the chemical reactor? Do we have one here? I think I use it over there. Am I right? Or have I? Oh no, I've got an advanced one here. That's what. There it is. Look, it's right at the back. Sulfuric acid. We've got loads of it. And then, of course, that goes in with ethanol. That makes loads and loads of ethylene. And eventually, that will be a process that will be completely automated to be able to get us lots and lots of ethylene. To get a ready supply of ethylene, I think that's probably the best way of doing it. If we had a system like this that will go ahead into its own chemical, the chemical reactor, we could do it so that it made loads and loads of ethylene, so that it backed up. And this is how we're probably going to do it, rather than creating ethylene, getting it pumped out into a tank or something like that. We'll probably just back it up in its own chemical reactor so that it's here. It completely fills up with 64,000 ethylene and will stop producing any more. And then we can just have, you know, the ethylene. We might have the chemical reactor actually, because you can't craft anything in here. The ethylene will probably go into a assembling machine, so it will go in here, it will get filled up with 64,000 ethylene, and it will just use that will be the basic assembling machine, or whatever assembling machine it might be, will use only ethylene, and will have only items and recipes in here that will use ethylene in its recipe. I think that's probably the way that we're going to do it. And that entire system will be automated so that we can have one assembling machine that is there, ready and raring to go with any sort of processor or any sort of recipe that we've got in there. But we're not at that stage yet because of auto crafting and stuff like that. We're not quite there yet. So, oh, my goodness gracious me, that's a lot to talk about. I'm glad I did this in a separate episode. We've got a load of advanced stuff here, and the plan is to get over here a transformer that will step it down and put it into all the LV machines eventually. I am going to make the lathe into an advanced lathe, but other than that, I think everything else will stay as basic. So we'll have that transformer so nothing blows up. That's the aim, at least. Anyway, okay, let me show you the last thing of this episode, which has been an absolute revelation. I thought to myself, okay, I've got to do something about the fact that I don't know how to use this crafting calculator, and it could be really useful in some of these ridiculous GregTech recipes. And guys, it is so useful. It really, really is. If we, say for example, I've put in solar panels here. So how this works is that you take... you put a new recipe in. This is a new recipe. So all of this has its own sort of groups and stuff. You don't have to have groups, and I'm probably going to go in there and just get rid of all the groups anyway, and just have everything in the crafting calculator. So say, for example, applied energistics. Let's have a look at a 64K storage cell. This thing right here. So what we can do is, you can see there, it's in applied energistics. We don't need to create a new group for this. What I'm going to do is press R on there, and you can see that it comes up with this. I'm going to shift left click this, and it will bring it into this grid down here. So it's basically telling the crafting calculator, look, you can craft one of these in a crafting table with this and this. You can see these are the inputs. This is the catalyst, the creating whatever you were using to create this, and this is the output. This is what we're going to be getting. So I'm going to save that. So if we take one of these, and you'll get a ghost image of this, you can put it into there, and it will say to you, look, this is what can be crafted. So as you can see, I've already put stuff in here to be able to say, all right, you can craft this. This is how to craft this. This is how to craft this, and so on and so forth, all the way down the list. I think it's the ME storage housing that is, yes, I've already done the recipe in the crafting calculator for this, so I don't need to mess around with that. However, if you can see here, it doesn't know how to craft a 64K ME storage component. So we press R on that. It will come up with the recipe for it. You can see that there's a microprocessor. We've got to get the right thing in there, but it doesn't matter because they're OR processor. It's OR dictionary for the tier 4 circuit, basically. Shift left click that. We can make one of these in a crafting table with all of this, and you can see that's been OR dictionaried. We can go ahead and save that. So now you can see that we require all of these different items just to be able to craft some of this different stuff that's in here. Again, this one doesn't know how to craft a 16K ME storage cell. So the same process applies. We just do that. We save it. Now be very aware that sometimes this one here, the ORCID or Circuit Extreme, if we were to say, look, we don't know how to craft this thing, it's basically after a tier 4 processor, or it's not. Yeah, I think it's after an array. A processing array. I think this is the one that it's after, by the looks of things. We can say, oh wait, it is after that, but it's also after the one above that. The yellow one. Yeah, so it's after a tier 3, it's after a tier 4. So if we press R on this one, we can say to it, look, this is how you craft it. We're going to need one ingot of tin in molten form, along with all this stuff. So if we shift and left click that, it doesn't show what this catalyst is. Now, this is the only problem with this thing, is that you've got to basically tell it what it's actually crafted in. And it's it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Now, as you get further on down the line, I could put a solar panel Mark 5 in there. Actually, it's probably better with a solar panel 4 because we can't get plutonium at the moment, and that's what we're working on. Solar panels Mark 4 into there, and it will say, look, this is all the stuff that you need in your inventory to be able to craft a solar panel Mark 4 thing. Which is actually pretty decent, guys, because you get 2 of these per craft. So it might be worth getting into some of this stuff, especially when solar panels give you 64 RF per tick, when the solar panel Mark 5 gives you 128 RF per tick. And I've worked it out that MV is actually 512 RF per tick. So if we got a solar panel Mark 6, that would be the equivalent of feeding an MV system, basically. So as you can see, everything in here it requires, you've just got to be mindful that it doesn't require 4 gears. It only requires 1 because you always get the mold back. I don't know how to sort that out, but there you go. And you can look in here. So say, for example, this at the end here, by the way, is steps. And that's the different crafting steps it's going to take to be able to craft those items that you're going to need to be able to craft what's at the end, which is basically these solar panels. So you can actually look, what I tend to do is look backwards. So I go to the bottom here and I look backwards at the stuff that I require. And if stuff is already in the system, I take that, I put it into my inventory, and it gets rid of some of the stuff that you actually need right the way back here. So energetic blend, for instance, we've got 8 of these, and I'm presuming somewhere along the line, there we go, energetic alloy and energetic alloy energy conduits, all that sort of stuff. If we go over to this system here and energetic alloy, for instance, put that in our inventory, have a look at our crafting table, it no longer has anything to do with those energetic alloys, apart from obviously the wire, because it still thinks it needs energetic blend to be able to make the wire. Where is it? There it is. Energetic alloy energy conduits. So that, is that true? Yeah, it doesn't say that we need it. It just says that we need to craft energetic blend. We don't. So, guys, that is basically a quick rundown of how the crafting calculator works. And my goodness gracious me, it is so useful for getting everything in your inventory and knowing that you can craft a certain amount, of course. You can say, look, I want 64 solar panels, my goodness, 480 buckets of water. It's absolutely insane. It really is, but very useful. Get it all in your inventory, get it all in your chest somewhere or whatever, and you can say, right, that is going to craft me everything I need. I just need to keep coming back into this chest, this one single chest, or I have already got everything in my inventory to be able to craft this. It really is absolutely fantastic for a pack like this. Really, I would recommend using that. Anyway, that is the stage at which we are at. Next episode, we will be coming back. I think all of us will be back for the next episode. It's going to become very difficult because I have now got more hours at work. I'm up to 22 hours at work, which is great. However, Shed is also going to be going back to work soon. The lockdown is starting to wind down somewhat. So we've got to be mindful that sometimes the guys might not be in the episodes with me. People are going back to school, which means my eldest might be going back to school and all sorts of that sort of stuff. So, you know, it's got to be mindful that to keep this series going, of course, we will all still be on the server, but to keep the series going and recordings and stuff like that, it might not necessarily be only all 3 of us. It just might not be feasible when, you know, work starts up and all that sort of stuff. So we'll see what happens anyways. Next episode, we're going to come back, guys. We are going to be doing MV stuff. We are finally going to be getting into this thing right here. And I'm expecting some other things to automatically get completed because we've done them in the past before, especially aluminium casing, you know, all this sort of stuff over here. We've done all of that. We just need to make one of these. And we will be doing that next episode. So, guys, if you've enjoyed this little interlude, then please do go ahead and leave a like on the video. It'd be absolutely fantastic. If you're enjoying this series, why not consider subscribing, putting the bell on, and you will get these winging their way into your inbox, hopefully every couple of days. We'll see if we can keep up to that as lockdown sort of winds down. Until next time, guys, I've been the Toff Man as always. Stay safe.